हरे कृष्ण। जय राधा माधवा, जय कुंज बिहारी, गोपीजन वल्लभा, गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधवा, जय कुंज गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधवा, जय कुंज बिहारी, गोपीजन वल्लभा, गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधवा, जय कुंज बिहारी, गोपीजन वल्लभा, गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना, यमुनातीरवनचारी, जय कुंज बिहारी। यशोदनन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना, यमुनातीरवनचारी, जय कुंज बिहारी। यशोदनन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना, यमुनातीरवनचारी, जय कुंज बिहारी। यशोदनन्दना यमुनातीरवनचारी, जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधवा, जय कुंज बिहारी, गोपीजन वल्लभा, गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधवा, कुंज बिहारी, गोपीजन वल्लभा, गिरिवरधारी। युगधर्म श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter number 30, the activities of the Prachetas, text number 50 and 51. Yo jayamana sarvesham तेजस तेजस्विनामृचा स्वयोपादत दक्षाच्च कर्मणां दक्षमब्रुवान् तं प्रजा सर्ग रक्षायाम् अनादेर अभिषिच्य च योजायुजे अन्यांश्च सवै सर्व प्रजापतिन् यो जायमानः सर्वेषां तेजस्तेजस्विनामृचा स्वयोपादत्त दक्षाच्च कर्मणां दक्षमब्रुवान् तं प्रजा सर्ग रक्षायाम् अनादेर अभिषिच्य च योजयुजे अन्यांश्च सवै सर्व प्रजापतिन् यो जायमानः सर्वेषां तेजस्तेजस्विनामृचा स्वयोपादत्त दक्षाच्च कर्मणां दक्षमब्रुवान् तं प्रजा सर्ग रक्षायाम् अनादेर अभिषिच्य च योजयुजे अन्यांश्च सवै सर्व प्रजापतिन् Any Matajis? Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Ya one who Jayamanaha just after his birth, Sarvesham of all, Tejaha the brilliance, Tejasvinam brilliant, Rucha by effulgence, Svaya his, Upadatta covered, Dakshat from being expert, Cha and Karmanam in fruitive activities, Daksham Daksha Abruvan was called, Tam him, Praja living beings, Sarga generating, Rakshayam in the matter of maintaining, Anadi the firstborn, Lord Brahma, Abhisicha having obtained, Cha also, Yoja engaged, Yuyuje engaged, Anyan others, Cha and Sa he, why certainly, Sava all, Prajapatin the progenitors of living entities. Translation. After being born, Daksha, by the super excellence of his bodily lustre, covered all others' bodily opulence. Because he was very expert in performing fruitive activity, he was called by the name Daksha, meaning the very expert. Lord Brahma therefore engaged Daksha in the work of generating living entities and maintaining them. In due course of time, Daksha also engaged other Prajapatis, progenitors, in the process of generation and maintenance. Purport. Daksha became almost as powerful as Lord Brahma. Consequently, Lord Brahma engaged him in generating population. Daksha was very influential and opulent. In his own turn, Daksha engaged other Prajapatis engaged by Marichi. In this way, the population of the universe increased. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th canto, 30th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Activities of the Prachetas. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananchana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashasta Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurasve Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavanda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam. Pangulangayate girim. Yat kripaha tamaham mande Shri Guru Dinatarinam. Hare Krishna. So I seek the blessings of His Grace Anandamaya Prabhu and all the assembled Vaishnavas so that I can speak on this verse. Especially today I need more blessings because I was told to speak in the morning. Some miscommunication. So try to speak something on this verse. So here we see that the activities of Prachetas are being mentioned here. How Lord Shiva told them how to glorify the Supreme Lord, and based on his teachings they glorified the Lord, and the Lord appeared there, and Lord mentions that how he is blessed by their cooperation amongst them, and he asks benedictions, what benedictions they want, and they only seek for the association of devotees. So when the Prachetas come out of the waters after 10,000 years, so they see that by that time King Prachinabari already left the kingdom, because Narada Muni instructed him, and inspired by that he left the kingdom. So these Prachetas saw that the whole earth was filled with tall trees. They felt that it was even reaching the heavenly planets. So they became very angry, and they actually wanted to burn off everything. Fire started emanating from their eyes and every. So, but Brahmaji, in the 6th canto it's mentioned, Somadev, he comes and they request the Prachetas to stop that. So on their request they actually stop, and they get married to Marisha, so who is the daughter of this forest, and she through this Prachetas and that Marisha they gave birth to Daksha. So this Daksha, this is the second birth of Daksha here. So in his previous birth, we know this pastime in the 4th canto, where he offends Lord Shiva and then he gets a goat head. So this is the second life where here it is being mentioned that again when he is born, he is having the super excellence bodily, his body luxure is so much that it is covering all others' bodily opulence. So in 4th canto also it is mentioned that when he enters that arena of sacrifice, everybody was attracted by him and everybody started respecting him. Only Lord Shiva didn't get up. It's mentioned that actually he was absorbed in meditation on Lord Vishnu, Lord Sankarshan. So he didn't get up, and we know that Daksha actually becomes offended. He feels that he is not respecting me, and also his son-in-law, he's got married to his own doctor. So he feels that he is offended and he starts criticizing, blaspheming Lord Shiva. So here one word is coming, Tejas Tejasvinam. In Bhagavad Gita also this comes, right? So actually Daksha forgot that where from this power is coming or where from this opulence is coming, right? So as Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Yad vibhuti mat sadvam Srimad urchitameva taddadeva vagachatvam mama tejo amsha sambhavam. Daksha forgot that all this opulence is only part of Lord's splendor, and this actually belongs to Lord. This doesn't belong to me. So because when we start thinking that something is separate from the Lord, we are in Maya. And when actually we start thinking that it belongs to me, then we actually become materially attached to those opulences. So then pride comes, and then we fall into difficulties. So Jai Shri Shri Gauranitai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai Ki Jai. So here, so again here Daksha took birth, and in this life also it's mentioned here that he is very expert in fruitive activity and very expert in generating living entities. So, so I want to focus on one aspect, the word Daksha, which means expert. So, in the 26 qualities of a pure devotee, one of the quality which is mentioned is Daksha. That means he is expert. So I am going to little bit explain from the 26 qualities of Vaishnava, book by His Holiness Satsvarup Das Goswami Maharaj. So wherein he is explaining about that quality, how a devotee is expert, Daksha. So he is mentioning that devotees utilize many skills in Krishna consciousness. He is mentioning that how Krishna also learnt 64 arts in the ashram of Sandipani Muni. And in 64 days only, every day is learning those arts. So Prabhupada is mentioning, Satsvarup Maharaj is mentioning that occasionally devotees also may learn some skills or take some courses to serve. Like somebody may learn how to use a computer, somebody may learn how to operate a printing press. So, but most important thing he mentions that one should learn how to become expert for Krishna. Okay, so a skill can be learned by practice, and more importantly, Krishna being in the heart of the devotee can teach him whatever is required. Krishna teaches everyone because he supplies memory intelligence. As we hear, Tesham Satate Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogantam Enamam Apyantite. So, the most wonderful example is of devotees in New Vrindavan. So, when they wanted to build this palace of gold for Srila Prabhupada, so they were all naive, very new. They were not expert in anything. They hardly had any knowledge skills. But they all, they didn't have any labor also. Even to call labor, there is like somewhere in the forest. But still, all these devotees really worked hard and made the palace of gold. And it is so beautiful that it is one of the most visited places in West Virginia. Very attractive, very nicely made. So, because devotees had a very sincere desire to serve Krishna, to serve Srila Prabhupada, so they wanted to glorify Prabhupada. So, Krishna empowered them with the necessary knowledge, skills, values, whatever is required to serve. Right? So, in 9th canto, very beautifully Prabhupada is mentioning 9.10.20, wherein the pastime of Lord Ram is there. So there it is mentioned in the purport how in the translation talks about how the soldiers of Lord Ram actually how they fought with mountain peaks, big trees, clubs, and the Ravana side they had all kinds of weaponry. So in the purport, Prabhupada very nicely explains, the soldiers Lord Ramchandra recruited in the jungle, Prabhupada very nicely is writing, recruited in the jungle were all monkeys and did not have proper equipment with which to fight the soldiers of Ravana. First, Ravana's soldiers were equipped with weapons of modern warfare, whereas the monkeys could only throw stones, mountain peaks and trees. So if you compare the weapons, so material terms it is like insignificant. So, but it was only Lord Ramchandra and Lakshmana who shot some arrows, saying some arrows. But because the soldiers of, now comes the important thing. But because the soldiers of Ravana were condemned by the curse of Mother Sita, the monkeys were able to kill them simply by throwing stones and trees. So generally, means it's not possible to kill. These soldiers of Ravana were very powerful. But why? What is the reason? Prabhupada is mentioning because of the curse of Mother Sita. So then Prabhupada is mentioning there are two kinds of strength: Daiva, Purushakara. Daiva means refers to the strength achieved from the transcendence, and Purushakara refers to the strength organized by one's own intelligence and power. So why I am taking this? Because here you can see one side Ravana's soldiers have material expertise, right? They have all weaponry, they have all powers. Obviously they will have all the siddhis and all, right? This is all material expertise. But when you see the monkeys, they don't have any weapons, but still how they could win? Because they took shelter of Lord. So that's what Prabhupada is mentioning. So the most important statement, transcendental power is always superior to the power of the materialist. Depending on the mercy of the Lord, one must fight one's enemies even though one may not be equipped with modern weapons. Therefore, Krishna instructed Arjuna, Ma manusmara yuddhacha, think of me and fight. We should fight our enemy to the best of our ability, but for victory, we must depend on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, very nice, amazing purport, giving us guidelines on how we should depend on the Lord while executing our duties or service to the Supreme Lord. So, here Sasuru Maharaj is also mentioning that it's not that only devotees are expert, outside people are also very expert. But the difference is that devotees depend on the Supreme Lord and they use all the skills in the service of the Lord. So devotees use whatever skills they have in the service of the Lord. So then Sasur Maharaj is mentioning one very important thing here, that the real expertise of the pure devotee, what is that real expertise? So is that he is able to extricate himself and others from the difficult web of Maya. So what is that expertise of a pure devotee? That he is able to himself come out of Maya and is also helping others to come out of that Maya. So then he explains that how living entities caught in this material world, it is very, very difficult. Maya is so powerful, personally empowered by Lord. So how the living entities are completely enamored by that and caught up in that. So then he talks about how only by taking shelter of Lord we can come out. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the process to come out. So then he talks about Prabhupada, that how Prabhupada is very expert. So he is mentioning that actually Prabhupada made the required adjustments to spread this Krishna conscious movement. So as an empowered Acharya, he took so much anxiety and responsibility to spread. So he is mentioning that how in the West to spread Krishna consciousness according to time, place, circumstances, he sometimes himself arranged the marriages of his disciples, or he did the needful. So Prabhupada, if you see, he was very expert in so many activities. So in one lecture, His Holiness Bhaktichar Maharaj was mentioning what is that expertise of Prabhupada, or why Prabhupada is expert. So he was mentioning that actually when devotees come to Krishna conscious movement, what should be our concern, main concern? So he mentions that the main concern of devotees should be to develop devotion. So he says that material expertise actually sometimes we can even get from outside people. Huh? But devotional expertise we cannot purchase. Means he was saying that suppose you want to do some accounting or something, you can get some accountants. But devotional expertise we cannot purchase from outside. Huh? That has to be developed by mercy of Lord and devotees. So then he mentions that how Prabhupada is expert in everything. Whether he cooked, still he is expert. Whether he spoke, he is perfect. Whether he, even if he chastised, then also he is perfect. So why he is perfect? Because he says that he is only doing it for Krishna, for the pleasure of Krishna. He has no other motive other than to please Krishna. So that is the expertise. So in Srimad Bhagavatam also, if you see 1.5.11, this verse, Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo, that verse also tells that although the narrations of the Lord, the literatures written in glorifying the Supreme Lord, although sometimes there may be some mistakes or what we can say, discrepancy in it, but because it is aimed at glorifying the Supreme Lord, it is perfect. So devotees, to please the Lord and devotees, they should try their best to the best of their, they should endeavor to the best of their extent to serve. But the main thing is that they should keep in mind that they should try to please the Lord and devotees. And when we are trying to please the Lord, we always will try to do our best. Means we should always keep in mind. So, Srila Prabhupada, if you see, he was very expert in many activities. So, if you see, in taking care of accounts, so it is mentioned that right from, means after he left the home and he took Vanaprastha, so he was maintaining accounts in his diary. Even how much he spent for rickshaw and everything he was maintaining. So once when Prabhupada was there, one well-wisher had come and he had given a small donation only, some 5 rupees or something. So Prabhupada told one disciple to keep that Lakshmi. So after 2-3 days, Prabhupada asked, where is that 5 rupees? Means Prabhupada, means he is such a, means he is managing the international society, but still he is concerned about each and every penny. Then we see Prabhupada, how expertly he trained the devotees in taking up challenges. So in Montreal, I think, so devotees were searching for some new place. So they went to several places and finally they got some church or so. So, but the amount was very huge. So then there was a discussion what we should do. Prabhupada liked that place. So devotees were saying that Prabhupada, already we are in so much anxiety about current maintenance. Now if we take this new place, our anxiety will increase more. So Prabhupada thought for a while and then he bangs on the table with his hand and he says that for Krishna we should take more anxiety. We must take anxiety, Prabhupada mentions very forcefully. So we see that actually Prabhupada himself took so much anxiety for spreading this movement, and also he kept his disciples also in anxiety in the sense of spreading Krishna consciousness. For spreading Krishna consciousness. So we see that he empowered devotees who were hardly few months old in Krishna consciousness. If you see the 3 couples who were sent to England, they were hardly practicing from few months, hardly read hardly read any books. So, but Prabhupada empowered them and he told them that you should do Sankirtan, he taught them how to do Kirtan. And he said, whatever you learned from me, you just share. So, now, in the sense, if you we cannot compare, but if you see the sannyasis who were sent to England by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, so they were scholarly, they were sannyasis, they were even supported by the Gaudiya Math. They had everything, all kinds of resources. So, but these couples actually, they didn't even have money. It's not that Prabhupada gave some $10,000 and said that you can. Actually, it is said that they had very little money. And even to enter England, it is said that you have to show certain amount of pounds to enter. So what they did, they didn't have that much to enter for 6 people. So one person would enter and send it back, and then other would enter and send it back. Like that, all 6 of them entered. So they didn't even have money, and nor did they have any place to stay also. They only, I heard that sometimes they had to stay in some big pipes. We have this canals and all, that huge. Sometimes they didn't have any accommodation to stay also. But Prabhupada actually empowered them. Prabhupada is such an expert that he sent his disciples all over the world and very expertly spread this Krishna conscious movement. Similarly, you see, Prabhupada was expert in dealing with various kinds of questions or accusations coming on him or his movement. So one famous statement we hear in London, one reporter had come and it was quite cold, and she was asking all kinds of questions which were not good, kind of accusing. So then towards the end she asked that why you people have bald heads, shaven heads. So Prabhupada mentions that it's better to have warm legs and cool head than barren, what do you call, cool legs or cold legs, something like hot head, yeah. So Prabhupada was very expert, and we can see that even when devotees, there was this case about brainwashing. So Prabhupada said that, yeah, actually we are doing brainwashing. There is so much garbage in their brains, stool, all kinds of garbage. We are actually washing. And Prabhupada, he was so bold. He said, let all the, whatever lawyers and all, we will give them all these books. We have 70 books. Tell them to read. And then let them come for debate or whatever. Then let them see whether it is really brainwashing or like that. So Prabhupada, very, very expert. And we see when he was dealing in the Juhu incident also, literally all the devotees, they actually gave up. They gave up in the sense dealing with that Mr. N. Nair. So literally they felt that now we better leave this place. So, but Prabhupada said, no, I have given a word to Radha Rasbihari. How can we leave? So Prabhupada made such a amazing strategy. Nobody can be more expert like Prabhupada. He made such an amazing strategy that now we should install the deities, make a temporary shed, install the deities. Nobody can remove us now. Prabhupada made that arrangement, and even later, although some people attacked, Gundas and all attacked, still Prabhupada was so much firm that he was not willing to leave that place. And because of his firm determination to please Radha Rasbihari, we can see that ultimately Mr. N was destroyed and Prabhupada could please Radha Rasbihari. So In similar way, we see that when Prabhupada tried to establish Iskcon, in so many places there were difficulties. Huh? Like when devotees were in Calcutta, the Westerners were finding it very difficult to deal with Indian situation. Very hot, sometimes getting so many kinds of diseases, diarrhea and lot of problems. And initial days there were hardly any facilities also. Like in Juhu, we read in the His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj that book, I'll build a temple for you. In that book mentions that how devotees were staying under the, what do you call this, temporary, what do you call that, made with the tin sheds, huts. Yeah. So it is mentioned there that when they were drinking water, sometimes in the water there were so many mosquitoes. And when devotees were honoring prasad, sometimes rat would fall in the prasadam from terrace. And sometimes rats would eat their feet. So that was the condition there. Very, very tough. Even in Calcutta, it was something like that. Very, very tough situations. So when devotees, I think His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj wrote to Prabhupada in Calcutta about the situation, and we are finding it very tough. Prabhupada writes, are you, yeah, do you want to be purified or not? So just that statement was sufficient for the devotees to actually stay there and serve. And Prabhupada was very expert in preaching also. We see that when the grandson of Henry Ford came to meet Prabhupada, so the first sentence Prabhupada spoke, where is your grandfather? Henry Ford. Finish. Only one statement, and he got transformed. In the sense, that was sufficient for him to understand that how this material world, all the material opulence is temporary. And Prabhupada was very expert in caring also. We see that Haridas Prabhu mentioning that when he first time saw, actually Haridas Prabhu recently left, I heard from devotees that recently he left this world. So when he first time saw Prabhupada's watch, what is that, Rolex watch, very costly, he saw in backside cover of Back to God magazine. He was very attracted by that, and he comes to meet Srila Prabhupada. And because Indians those days at least, they have respect for sadhus, so he just offered obeisances. And Prabhupada immediately when he got up, he took out the watch and gave him. So he was completely shocked that how this personality knew my heart. And he thought, because he knew my heart, I should surrender to him. And he actually surrendered himself to Srila Prabhupada. So, but he mentions that he had the habit of not sleeping in the night, because previously he was doing thievery and also so in the night he was not getting sleep. So he asked Prabhupada, what should I do? I am not getting sleep. So Prabhupada is so expert in engaging. He told that when I get up at 1 a.m. to write books, so many dogs are barking and disturbing me. So you take a stick and drive them off. So Prabhupada gave him nice service also. And he mentions that he was very attached to chocolates and eating chocolates and all. So once he went to Prabhupada and offered obeisances, and some 5-star chocolates, they fall from his pocket. And Prabhupada sees. He says that, what is this? So then he says that, Prabhupada, I am very attached to chocolates, I like the taste. So he said that immediately Prabhupada went to kitchen and personally he made halwa, chocolate halwa, that caramel halwa for him and fed him. So he was so much touched that although Prabhupada is managing the entire Iskcon society, so much busy he is, but still for himself, for his sake, he extended and made that for him. So like this we can see that Prabhupada, he was very, very expert in various aspects of devotional service. But the most important thing to remember that all this expertise means whatever one has, one should use it in the service of the Lord. As we hear in Bhagavatam, Atapumbir Vijashreshta Varnashrama Vibhagasha Swanishtitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. So whatever according to one's Varnashram, one may do various kinds of occupational duties. So according to one's karma, one may be expert in certain area. But ultimately we should all use that for the pleasure of Lord Hari. That's what is very, very important. So as His Holiness Bhakti Char Maharaj is also mentioning, because Prabhupada used it everything to please his Guru and Krishna, that's why whatever he did is perfect. Although materially it may appear that it is not perfect. Somebody may say, what is this, Prabhupada is not so sweet in his singing. People may say that somebody else's singing is actually more perfect. But actually Prabhupada is perfect because he only sang for the pleasure of Krishna. Whereas other people may sing, but they may be singing for their own pleasure, for gross and subtle glorification. So also we see that Prabhupada wanted us also to be expert. As Prabhupada mentions that devotees should know something of everything and everything of something. Prabhupada said that at least we should know some basic accounting, singing, cooking, instruments, because Prabhupada said that wherever you go, if you know these basic things, you can start a center and start preaching and some basic philosophy, so that this movement can be spread. And knowing everything of something means knowing that Krishna is the source of everything. So we see that, as Satsvarup Maharaj is also mentioning, that when we sincerely want to serve Krishna, when we have strong desire to please and serve Krishna, Krishna from within will guide us. So that's why we can see that Prabhupada, although in the 70-year-old man, hardly having any resources, any kind of people to help, but we see that in 10 years he could establish such a huge organization, devotional, with devotion, in the sense imbued with devotion. So it is not easy, but because he had a sincere desire to please and serve his spiritual master, he was empowered by Krishna. So when we are also rendering service, we may not be expert in everything. So but if we are given a service where we are not expert, we can express that I am not good. But still, if the authorities tell that still you should do, then we depend on Krishna. As it is mentioned, Ma Manusmara Yuddhacha. You try your best, and you can always take help from other devotees who are expert in that area. And Krishna from within will always guide when we sincerely try to serve. So it is very important that we learn to depend on Krishna while executing the services. Another thing which is mentioned here, that Daksha was very expert in generating the living entities. So once one lady asked His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj that, Maharaj, if you all sannyasis don't marry, what will happen to the future generations? Such wonderful genes will be missing for the future generations. How this will be spread? Such wonderful people will not be there. So she asked that question. So Maharaj very expertly answered that actually even sannyasis also produce children. Huh? How? He said by preaching. Huh? Actually by preaching, the sannyasis also actually, or brahmacharis, they also may be producing children. As Prabhupada mentions also that although I left my family, I had few children when I left my family, but now I have thousands of sons and daughters. In my old age, they are so nicely taking care. So, the brahmacharis or the sannyasis also produce children by preaching. Basically, it's not just about producing children. Actually, real, in the sense, the purpose of this creation is that one should become Krishna conscious and send whatever living entities back home, back to Godhead. So that is being done by the sannyasis. So Prabhupada, if you see, actually he was actually doing that, preaching Krishna consciousness very vigorously all over the world. And we also see that he was very expert in preaching to the leaders. Right from beginning, if you see, he was always trying to preach to the leaders. He wrote so many letters to Gandhiji or whoever was Lal Bahadur Shastri and all, whoever were prime minister or in some big position in the society. Because he knew that if the leaders become devotees, then all the others also become devotees. So that's why Krishna says, Yadad acharite shreshtas. So here also we see that Narada Muni very expertly he preached to the king, Prachina Bari, and he transformed him. And Lord Shiva also preached to the Prachetas because they were also the leaders of the society. And later we see that Narada Muni again preaches to the sons of Daksha, Harshayasvas and Shavalasvas, and very expertly with a allegory he preaches to them, the elder brothers, and then the younger ones he says that you should all follow in the footsteps of your elder brothers, and he transforms all of them. So that is another understanding of producing living entities. But also Prabhupada mentions that the grahasthas, they can try to produce Krishna conscious children and by Garbhadan Samskar, and also raise them in a Krishna conscious way. Hare Krishna. So we'll end here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.